Welcome to On Digital Media. Once again, I'm John Federico, your host and executive producer, and joining me this evening is one of our regular panelists, Mr. Craig Calder.
Greetings and salutations.
How you doing over there on the other side of town, sir?
Most excellent.
Most excellent, yes. It must be cooler there than it is here. A little warm in the office today.
You got your heat cranking?
Yeah, it's old house and, the radiators aren't exactly balanced and I have the door closed with my recording sign and all that. So that's too much inside baseball. So thank you for joining us at On Digital Media. We appreciate you listening in. You most likely found us on iTunes. Of course, you may have found us on Stitcher or maybe even SoundCloud. Wherever you found us, thank you for listening. And of course, you can find us on YouTube. So some of you folks may notice that this doesn't look like the normal video we do. It's not Google Plus, Google Hangouts, Google Plus Hangouts. Anyway, I had a problem a few weeks ago with Google Hangouts, and I lost an interview on another podcast that I produce, and I decided it was time to move on to something that is reliable and we pay for, which means one would think it would stay up. So here we are.
You would think.
You would think. We'll find out, won't we? This is only the second. There's only second show I'm recording on this, so we'll find out. Speaking of the show, let's get into it. What is the news this week in digital media? The big news, the big news. Facebook makes another acquisition. That doesn't seem like such big news, right?
It seems like every acquisition is in the billions.
It's in the billions. Yes, it's in the billions. This is their third big acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
But what did they buy? They didn't buy. I mean,
they bought a black magic company called Oculus.
A black magic company?
No, it's a virtual reality headset that started on Kickstarter and primarily focused on gaming. But I think Mark Zuckerberg is saying that they have bigger ideas to take it into kind of the 3D immersion space, probably thinking of things like travel and porn, all that kind of stuff. No,
porn on Facebook. Come on, they're probably creative company.
Think of an immersive experience: travel, entertainment. High-end retail, luxury retail.
Okay, it sounds good. I don't know, really. I don't see it.
Well, gaming is a slam dunk, right? And Facebook isn't very strong in gaming right now. I mean, they have the kind of the low-end apps, but I think this takes it to a whole nother level. To Mark, $2 billion is like a drop in the bucket. So they become a player in the gaming space relatively quickly,
I guess. But their mission was to connect the world, whatever, the digital commons, that whole BS. I don't see where virtual reality fits into that. Do I really want Facebook on my face?
No, but you want the content that Facebook will be streaming. I think that you'll want the virtual reality content that companies that have Facebook profiles will be streaming.
Okay, help me out here. I'm reaching.
No, I imagine. First of all, you have gaming brands. We'll put that aside because that's a layup. But imagine, high-end travel brands, Marriott, Starwoods, and to be able to put you in an immersive travel experience, to show you your room, to show you your destination, that's going to be pretty powerful. High-end luxury goods, high-end automobiles, electronics, appliances, to have an immersive experience to to doing that. I mean, I'm focused on retail because that's where the revenue is, but I'm sure there are plenty of other things. I mean, imagine just entertainment, seeing a Beyonce concert in virtual reality is pretty powerful.
I guess, but one of these things is what, $200-$300 to put on your face, and you got to have the right drivers for it, and the whole thing is still in beta.
But it'll come down to like this headset. It'll be $50 at Staples in 2 or 3 years.
All right, now you're really stretching, but
no, seriously, don't you think that the virtual goggles will be, so how much are they now? 300?
I don't remember. They're expensive. They're more. How about this? They're not a casual purchase.
Well, they're not. But for early adopters, it's not out of your realm. It's not like it's $1,000, right? How much are Google Glasses?
Like $1,500.
Yeah. So you can get these, Kickstarter goggles, relatively cheap in comparison.
$350. So you can order the Oculus VR development kit.
It's a deal.
It's $300, $350, and this is only for developers so that they can develop apps that utilize the virtual reality technology. All right.
And I could be totally off because I'm thinking about retail, the people who will, the early adopters that will, put in the money for the, the kind of the Skunkworks projects. But it could move into more mainstream stuff after that.
So it's not that I have a problem with virtual reality. I'm an early adopter of technology, most technologies. It's just the whole Facebook connection that I'm just losing. And maybe Zuckerberg has a vision that we don't know about. And that's perfectly fine, and he'll surprise me, and we'll all think it's wonderful, and yada yada yada.
Yeah,
right now I look at it, I'm like,
I think you need to let go. You're thinking you're in the Facebook, box, and think of as Facebook as more of a content platform in the future, right? That's obviously where they're going. If they're buying these types of companies, they want to, be an experience provider, and they
social experience provider.
Well, and then they bought the social with the other $1 billion app they bought. So I think that they're really trying to put stakes in the ground in the various verticals that they see themselves, and I give them credit for looking to the future and making bets, relatively inexpensive bets, to be the dominant player in a particular vertical. As long as I don't hear them talk about millennials, I'm good.
What's wrong with millennials?
Well, every company what is your strategy over the next 15 years? And we're going to be targeting millennials because they're going to be the core consumers of our product in 2025. It's like, well, duh. But by the time that happens, and it'll probably change. And the truth is, if you're putting your strategy to target millennials now, you're going to go out of business.
Well, if you've got enough cash and an existing business to hold on, you'll be okay. But yeah,
my feeling is I've sat in on enough research presentations where it's kind of like, really? Okay. But yes, okay, you've identified that millennials are going to be the core consumer audience in 15 years, but what are we going to do between now and 2024? I mean, are we going to, in the next 10 years, how are we going to keep the company going? And it's, how are we going to, squeeze every bit of profit out of the baby boomers and then move on to Gen X and Gen Y, and then we can talk about the millennials.
Well, yeah, if you look at Facebook's business right now, the millennials aren't it. right? Or well, yeah, I shouldn't say that.
The
No,
millennials
they
are staying away from Facebook.
right. Millennials are staying away for lots of reasons. A lot of it having to do with privacy or lack thereof, and the fact that their real names required on Facebook and blah blah blah, and their parents are there.
Yeah.
I found lots of people are on Facebook, including my parents now. Which, if you really knew my parents, you would understand.
Well,
what a leap that is.
I think part of it is because, we're at the tail end of the boomers and the beginning of Gen X, and we actually like seeing our high school friends on Facebook because we haven't talked to them in 20 years. Millennials, my children, are like, I talk to my high school friends on Instagram. Why would I need Facebook?
Right. And will they be doing that in 10 years? No. But
yeah.
All right. So virtual reality, Oculus Rift, Facebook, thinking ahead. We'll see where it goes. How far ahead? I don't know. Are we going to see something next year, the year after?
I think it's a smart move only because I think that there has to be something beyond, they said, the desktop's going away, everything's going to move to mobile, to smartphones and tablets. Okay, what's after that? Well, after that is some sort of a goggle, experience. And I think it's a good bet. It's better than anything else. I would put it in the Google Glass category. I mean, it's really about, what is the next experiential content consumption category, and I think a virtual reality goggle thing is probably the closest thing that we have to the next experience.
So this is Facebook becoming a conglomerate, is really what it comes down to.
Sure.
Right?
I think they're looking at the future and say, where can we place some bets that we know will be out ahead of the curve.
All right, we'll see. We'll see how far that curve is.
And only because they're probably looking at it saying, hey, we were hot stuff 10 years ago. Now we're starting to get a little stale with the younger crowd. How can we pull them back into the fold? Or how can we get out ahead of them, right? And be there when they get there, right? That's probably, the thing that they're thinking, because, they're sweating bullets, right?
Yeah, because they know that they're losing a younger crowd. And when the older crowd is, they've moved on to other things in life, period, they're sort of left with a hole.
And I'm a Google Plus fanboy, and I know that Google Plus is just going to be chugging along, and sooner or later, people are going to wake up and say, hey, this is actually an amazing platform. It may be 3-4 years from now when it actually will compete with Facebook. Right now, the only people who are on it are people who work for Google. So
I use Google Plus quite a bit,
yeah.
Believe it or not. But there's a really good podcasters community there, and that's really the only reason. But still, I use it.
You hit it. You hit ahead. It has good communities, and it has critical support for local business. So I think that's kind of the core of why Google Plus is going to be relevant, very relevant in the future.
Yeah, you've said that. Have you said that on air, or have you said that over drinks? I don't remember.
I think I've said it. I said it over air. To be forthcoming. I'm a big local marketing search guy, and Google Plus is becoming really the foundation of any local business plan, because you need to have your foundation set in the Google ecosphere. So you have your Google Plus page, type. You need to have your YouTube account with your, corporate or whatever, your business videos associated with. You need to have the maps associated with, and it all like links together. And the sum of the parts is really what makes you come up on mobile phones, in an optimized way. And I think that, a lot of consumers are kind of out of that experience. And I think the businesses are right now are the early adopters on Google. And then I think the consumers will follow if they can build a compelling experience later on.
We'll see. If people people already find most of their stuff on Google, right? So they don't need any help.
Exactly. And it's going to be typed closer into Gmail, and, and then, you're going to, I know we're down on Google Hangouts right now, but they'll eventually get it right. That's the whole Google thing. They start with something that's a piece of, crap. And then, it gets better and better and better. And then, 5 years later, oh my God, this is the market leader. What happened?
They are good. And I'm not saying Google Hangouts I wouldn't say it's bad. It's, when we use Google Hangouts, if it fails, if something didn't record properly, what happens? Well, we got to talk shop over a few drinks, and it's no big deal.
But John, you run a business, and you cannot run a business on technology that's not reliable. And right now, Google Hangouts is not reliable.
Not for that. No, not for that. We even use it for phone calls. We do it for conference calls, etc. Because if something happens, we just get back on the phone. But when I, sit down with the CEO of a tech company to do an interview, and he's dedicated, or she is dedicated, an hour, for an interview, and that's all. And all of a sudden, I have to call them back and be like, "Oh, that hour we spent together." Guess what? Yeah, not going to work. All right. So moving on. So back to Facebook sweating bullets.
Yes.
And Google, you believe Google, chugging away and getting on their heels.
Google is a glacier. They move at a snail's pace, but consume lots of territory.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So did you catch the news this week about Facebook and the actual views, the percentage of views that corporate pages are now getting? Did you catch that?
I caught it, but you can take this one.
All right. Well, the gist of it is being, we know that Facebook tried to get brands on the platform, right? Come, jump on our platform. All the consumers are here. Get people to like your page, and you'll have this ongoing dialogue. And this is the new marketing, right? It's all about connections and talking with your audience. Right. And this week, they pretty much announced that, based on algorithms and people's interests and blah, 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 only 6 to 12% of your actual followers, your people who like your page, will actually see your content. Oh, but you know what? We have the perfect way for them to see more of your content.
Pay us.
Exactly. So now everyone invested all this time, all this effort, all this money into figuring out social marketing, and it's a bust. And they're back to spending ad dollars. And where are they spending those ad dollars? Facebook.
You fucked up. You trusted us.
Yeah, exactly. What is that from? What's from a movie?
It's from Animal House or Ferris. Yeah.
I forget. Yeah, I think it might have been Animal House. Yeah. So that's the. There is a great article. Jason Falls from Social Media Explorer wrote a great article called "The Great Facebook Swindle" and what it means for you. And and Jason is not one to be balanced. He's quite the personality, but it was a very balanced perspective. Why it's good, why it's bad, what it means for you, what it means for Facebook, etc.
Facebook is like Lucy and Charlie Brown. You're like, I hope, I think they're gonna let me kick the ball, but next time because you're like me, we've had clients and experiences where okay, we have to put all of our content and our efforts into Facebook, but we don't own the users, we don't own the data, we're going on faith. You're going to get burned eventually if you don't own the data.
Yeah, I mean that whole movement of getting people to like your page, I was like, why? Get them to sign up for your mailing list.
Yeah.
You own that connection.
But they make it so hard for you to do that. And you can do it, but it's contrary to the Facebook, roadmap.
Of course it is. They don't want you doing that. It cuts them out. It cuts them out of the relationship. Yes, Facebook, Zuckerberg. All right. Obviously we both are fans of Jason Calacanis, and Jason has a famous colloquialism. He calls it getting Zuckerberged, and in this case, it's apropos.
Right.
The marketers just got Zuckerberged.
Again, shame on us.
True. But I think it's not just marketers too. In the past, I think that phrase has been used primarily to refer to just how it's privacy settings on consumers, etc. This was the first really big change for marketers. No, it's not true. Actually, I take that back. This is maybe the second really big thing, but still.
Well, Jason got penguined by Google, so it's no different. It's again. If you build a house on land that someone else owns, you're screwed eventually.
Thank you for keeping it clean. We want to keep our clean rating on iTunes.
And but there's a business model for leasing, and we're all leasing property on Google and Facebook, and we're being held accountable by the landlords to follow their rules, and they can change the rule. And the rule is we can change the rules anytime we decide.
You read my mind. Yeah. Yeah. I guess. There is something to be said for leasing. It's a good point, right? Some people choose to lease because it's more convenient, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't get that when it comes to my customer relationships. I own my customer relationships, right? Yeah. Then again, as a person who likes you on Facebook, a customer. No, they're not, but they are. They're an audience that with a relationship that you want to maintain.
And speaking of leasing, did you know that 60% of customers on the East Coast lease cars, and only 20% lease cars on the West Coast? And you know why?
Because cars get beat to crap on the East Coast.
Exactly.
See, I know something.
And well, we know that, and we're in the year of the pothole. So, but it's also East Coast customers are just looking for the lowest price, and leasing does that. And West Coast customers, your car lasts longer, so you want to,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for that tidbit, sir. We appreciate that. All right. What else was going on this week? More acquisitions. So in addition to whatever Zuckerberg and the Oculus guys were smoking, they had a big party. They're happy. That's good for them. Klout, our favorite research tool, not. What's your Klout score, Craig?
Not as high as I would want it to be. I think it's like 57, something like that.
You know what? I have no idea. It's been so long since I've checked that I'm going to check right now. I'm going to sign in with the Twitter.
I'll do it at the same time.
All right. I'm going to sign in with the Twitter and get my Klout score.
I've been a little neglectful of my buffer account, so I'm probably lower.
I hear you. All right. Well, I just had to reconnect my Facebook account, which means my score must be low because Facebook wasn't talking to Klout. So I don't know. What is it? 100-point scale? I don't know.
44.
Okay. I'm 52.
Well, you're a more active poster than I am.
Verbose would be a good word. Interesting. Okay, so there it is.
Can,
So
can I tell you? I went on and my wife had a higher cloud score than I did. And I'm like, how can that happen?
well, that's the thing with cloud scores is cloud scores. So, I would imagine everyone in our audience knows what cloud is, but if you don't, uh, it's it's a reputation system. They try and distill down your influence on a 100-point scale, roughly speaking. And people have specializations in different categories. So, for instance, mine is technology, gadgets, and something else, which I don't know. I just closed the window. Whereas, your wife might have a high cloud score on particular things.
Cats.
Cats. Yeah, but that's her thing. All right, fine. So back to all of this. People were wondering how Klout was going to make money, how they were going to survive. It wasn't great as a research tool. It was a good place to start, but ultimately you needed to still dig in and do your own research. So people are wondering what they would do. They were just bought by Lithium Technologies. No, is it Lithium Technologies? Is that yes? It is Lithium Technologies. So, what does Lithium do? They are a social media. Okay, I don't know what it means. Right? It's another buzzword, but they are social customer service management.
Yeah, I don't know Lithium or have any connection with them, but I would. My guess is they're buying registered users. Right?
Okay.
Right?
I guess.
I think that buying Klout gives them a marketing base that they can then reach out to. I'm sure they're going to use the Klout technology in helping to grow their business in some way. I don't know exactly, but I mean, it kind of goes back to the ancient Jerry Yang Yahoo philosophy. Our goal is to own the most registered users in the world, and I'm assuming that's probably a play here because Klout does have a lot of registered users because it's free and it plays on people's vanity, so everybody wants to see what their score is. So I imagine they're sitting on a shit ton of registered accounts.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. They describe the deal as combining consumer reach and reputation system with the leading community platform, building a trusted online connection between consumers and the brands they care about. Okay.
And that makes sense because, the hot thing right now in retail as well as personal is reputation management.
I can't disagree.
It's probably a reputation management type play or something.
Well, reputation management on the consumer side, but also influencer management on the brand side. They have these community platforms which are primarily used by brands to do a bit of customer support as well as maintain their maintain the relationships with their core customers, right, with their core community.
Right.
So yeah, I think it'll be. I think it probably is a smart move in their part. But we'll see how smart it is when they go to integrate. God, I am just a Debbie Downer on the show, aren't I?
Did they say how much they paid, or was it announced?
Do we know? I don't think it was announced.
Yeah, so who knows how much they paid? I mean, it could be a stock acquisition. Who knows?
It was a stock deal, and Forbes previously reported that the deal would be around $200 million. Now this is from Mashable. It's clear that you put it in there and I didn't because I don't read. Yeah. I avoid Mashable. So it's not like a venture blog where they would talk about what the investors got out of it and so on. But it does talk about the basics of the deal.
Can I just because I come from a journalism background, and just the fact that we're talking about Mashable as a trusted source makes my skin crawl. and I have to laugh, and people make fun of me because this weekend was the girls' finale of the 4th season, I think. and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you watch Girls. I think it's an outstanding show. But there was a thing where somebody died, and the main character Hannah is saying like, oh, look what they said about this guy. And he says like, what are you reading the internet for? She says, it's Gawker. Gawker is the trusted source for media. I have to follow Gawker. and I'm just like, oh my God, what have we come to? That Gawker is the trusted source.
Well, I'm going to guess and say that was a little tongue-in-cheek, but on the part of the script writers. But yeah.
Well, I think it was, but I think it was more of a play on the millennials who actually believe that Gawker is a trusted source.
That very well may be true, and that's sad. Actually,
I have nothing against millennials. My daughter is a millennial, so.
Is she considered a millennial? Yeah, I guess she is. Yeah,
she's going to be 20 this weekend.
Wow. It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about the other social network that we love so much. Twitter. More unhappy people. There's a rumor that Twitter may kill the retweet. And I read something else that even said that Twitter might kill the hashtag. Now, I don't see that happening. I think it was pure speculation. But
I think that's a PR play. I mean, I can't even fathom.
Which one, the hashtag or the retweet?
Either one. I think they're so core to the product. Unless they say, we're going to replace retweeting with X, and we're going to replace hashtags with Y that are technological superior, right? I mean, you can't just eliminate something without having an alternative that's superior.
Yeah, I don't see it. So, Twitter may kill the retweet, and people are freaking out. That's exactly what the headline says.
And everybody's writing about it. So good for them. They got a good PR,
Well, yeah, but they're talking about, so they're actually, but here's the thing. They're not actually killing the retweet, right? What the experimental button is that you can see in certain versions of the iOS app, instead of it saying retweet, it says share with followers. Well, okay,
that's just a change in nomenclature. That's not a change.
Primarily, right. Now, the term for old school folks, retweet, has a, we're a little sentimental about the term retweet, but still, share with followers. Okay, what's the difference?
Well, it sounds very Facebook.
It does. Well, yes, it does sound very Facebook, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And then they also changed. So the other option, of course, how we have conversations in Twitter now, right? You can have, Twitter figures out what the threaded conversation is, and it kind of draws a line from, based on, let's call it sentence to sentence or interaction to interaction. So now they have another button here called First Add Comment. So you can add a comment to it before you share.
But I think that's very inside baseball for Twitter, fanboys. I don't think the general public really clombs onto that. I am not a huge Twitter person. I'm actually probably, not somebody who takes full advantage of the platform. I post. I'm a Twitter spammer. I post and rarely respond.
Yeah, I go back and forth. I mean, I share a lot of stuff. I'm mostly a sharer. Air quotes around the sharer thing.
And all these people are like, "Oh, contact me on Twitter." I'm like, I have no clue on how to do that.
Really?
Well,
you're admitting that on air?
No, I mean I do know how. I mean, but if I'm not connected with you, I have no idea how to contact you on Twitter.
Oh yeah, well that's true. If you're not connected, it is difficult.
I know how to direct message somebody, but I don't know how to get them to, Yeah,
you send them what it's called an @reply, and it's just @Gadget Boy. Let's have a drink.
You lost me.
All right. Well, it's not rocket science, but there are people who are starting to suggest that, if they're willing to try this, would they get rid of the hashtag? I don't see that happening. The hashtag has become just so intertwined with culture at this point. It's become a Saturday Night Live skit. I mean, how could they change that? But right. Even so, but even I'm half joking when I say that. I mean, take it further. There are hashtags everywhere. Turn on the television. There are hashtags on TV, yes, in the lower third. My son, the three of us now, me, my wife, and my son, we've all gotten hooked on Face Off now, which is on Sci-Fi. So it's all about these people that do makeup artistry for movies. Mm-hmm. And they go, so it's a vote you off the island kind of thing, right? It's competitive. They start with like 15 people. There are judges, and they winnow them down to the winner. But we were into it lately, and every night. First of all, spray painted on the door outside of the lab. That's the workshop where they work. They call it the lab. Mm-hmm. Spray painted on the door is hashtag Face Off. It's spray painted on the door. And when just before they're about to judge people, they say, "Okay, everyone, tell us about your creations," while our audience tweets about it with using hashtag Face Off. And I'm thinking to myself, there's just no way. There's no way they're going to kill the hashtag. It's just more people freaking out over nothing.
And the fact that Face Off was an amazing Nicolas Cage movie is not lost on me.
I did see that.
John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. Doesn't get any better than
that. Okay, Craig.
Did you see that movie?
I don't know if I actually did see the movie. They
actually change faces.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it in its entirety. I have to tell you.
Oh my God!
Was it? Maybe I'll watch it this weekend. That's a good excuse to watch.
It was an 80s or 90s movie where there was some kind of thing where I think John Travolta was the bad guy and Nicolas Cage was the good guy, and John Travolta figures out a way to they have some kind of laser technology that takes his face off and then puts it on John Travolta, and then he goes out and does all bad things with Nicolas Cage's face.
Yeah, I remember I know the premise. All right, awesome. We'll see. If it's PG or PG-13, I'll watch it this weekend with my son.
It's PG-13. I don't think there's anything.
All right, because it's supposed to rain. We're supposed to get a ton of rain this weekend.
Face Off.
All right, Face Off is it. Face Off it is. But continuing on with this whole Twitter thing, really what it comes down to is people are freaking out about the Facebookification of Twitter. I just made that up. But Facebook tests a lot of things, and one of the things they're testing are new profiles. And if you see this thing, and I'll have links to it in the show notes. Let me make a note of that right now.
Twitter is testing new profiles.
Twitter is testing new web profiles, and when you look at them, they basically look like your Facebook page. You've got a large header at the top for your photo, and you've got more information below that in a band, and then you've got your feed going down both sides. It looks like Facebook.
It's a day late and a dollar short.
Well, and does anybody care?
No.
They're not Facebook. It's Twitter. It's a different experience. So, but maybe they're just figuring that since Facebook is so popular with so many people, that familiarity might give them a leg up. I don't know.
I'm going to make a prediction. I'm
going to write it down. Hold on.
The next profile breakthrough is going to be these scrolling WordPress type templates. You know what I'm talking about?
No, have another scotch. What are you talking about?
No. You know what I'm talking about? That all these startups, their web pages are now scrolling.
Oh, the single page website and
exactly.
Oh yeah, we just redid our site to be that way. It's single page parallax. View on the images and all that.
I think that's going to be the next profile in social media or.
Yeah, okay, I could see that. For a while, actually, there are some Twitter apps that actually behave that way on iPhone. Tweetbot is one of them. There are a few others, and the same thing. When you see it, where there's an image placed in a tweet, the image actually appears in parallax mode, so it almost appears as if it's behind the feed, and you can see it as you scroll. Anyway, but I hear you. I can see that happening. All right, so I love taking down writing down these things because Steve had his prediction: 2 years, no more DVDs, and I'm like, yeah, that was 5 years ago, Steve. So prediction: Parallax profiles in social. All right, done. All right, well, we'll see. I think everybody's sweating. Everyone is concerned about the evolution of their businesses, right?
Yep.
That is the one thing I will say for internet companies these days, right? And I say these days, I'm talking about Web 2.0 companies. If I may use the term,
Yep.
They know that they can be knocked off. Knocked off as the they can be knocked off the pedestal at any given moment.
And can I tell you, I had something that happened to me today that was kind of a defining moment. You know how in Facebook where you put your birthday in, and when your birthday comes up, you get like random birthday,
right?
Happy birthday from people.
I'm like, great, who are you? Oh yeah, okay.
Exactly. So today, my birthday is coming up this weekend, and I got a Google Plus like birthday acknowledgement from a friend of mine who I know. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And I went to like try and like respond back to him and say thank you, and it was kind of like I couldn't. I had to go back into Google Plus, and then it was crazy. It was just like I just wanted to like respond, hit reply, and I couldn't do it. Then it had a little Google Hangouts thing at the bottom. It said, click a Hangout, and it opened it up, and it said, oh, this person is not available for a Hangout right now. And I'm like, duh. Like,
yeah, it is a bit of a a flustercluck, as I like to say. It is a bit of a challenge. I get confused. Honestly,
it's
Facebook
not a
channel,
seamless experience, to say the least.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. And that's how I think hands down Twitter wins. But so Google Plus can't do social, but can Facebook do search? That is the question.
They can probably take a good crack at it. They could definitely give you relevant results within the Facebook universe, which is,
Yeah, but they've got a deal with Microsoft, right? Microsoft was an investor, and they have a multi-year deal with Bing. I don't know exactly what it is. What if you took the search data and the results from Bing, and you layered social data on top of it, and you of course refine that even further to provide results? I don't know.
It could be interesting.
Is it going to happen? Yes, it could be interesting. Is it going to happen? That's the real question. I mean, does Google really need to be afraid of Facebook search if such a beast existed?
Absolutely not.
No, I don't think so either.
It could be. Turn
that off.
I don't know how to turn it off. It could be definitely, a preferred experience for people who live in the Facebook universe. But
for many people, Facebook is the internet. Yes.
Yeah, for your grandmother, well, I can't not grandmother, because like my parents aren't even on Facebook. But I think that for a certain group of people, yes, absolutely. But is that the mass search market? No, I don't think so.
No, and given that everything in Facebook is behind a wall anyway, right? This would, in order for it to really compete, it would have to be a public facing, open search.
And we talked about this before the show that when you do a search campaign, you figure that 85% of your search dollars are going to go to Google, and 15% of your dollars will go to Yahoo, Bing. Okay, maybe 20% goes to Yahoo, Bing, Facebook. Maybe that'll change a little bit, but in terms of actually competing with Google, no way.
Yeah, I mean, Facebook's done crazier stuff that we talked about right on this episode. So who the hell knows?
I think Google. I mean, Facebook is much better off creating their own future by investing in things like Oculus and communication apps than trying to go head to head with the 800-pound gorilla on search. It's just not a recipe for success.
Yeah, I think they would agree with you. But Mr. Zuckerberg is he's a determined young man. So
But I do think they have the assets to be a burr in their saddle. So why not? Why not poke
poke the bear.
yeah.
Yes. Well, you know the phrase, don't poke the bear unless you're, ready to deal with the consequences. So, all right, we'll see. All right, let's move on. We have actually, we had some good, big, juicy, meaty stuff this week, and we're running out of time. So
Wait,
do we want to talk?
You just threw this last one in, and I didn't even see that till now.
What, the Jawbone thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Save that for later.
All right. So, you know what? I'm going to skip the Microsoft thing. All right, the one big piece of news.
Wait. How
what?
can you switch the Microsoft thing?
All right. You know what? I actually don't think it comes as a surprise, given that we've spoken about this on the show and off the show numerous times, right? Is Microsoft going to be a services company, or are they going to try and be a platform company, or both, or some variation?
And does anybody care?
And well, I don't care, but some people might. So a couple of things happened today. So
IT managers care.
IT managers care. So Satya Nadella, is it Nadella with an A at the end? I forget now. Pardon me, guys. Pardon me, Satya. Satya Nadella, the new CEO of Microsoft, announced his master plan today for Microsoft. Now that's not really true. That's a very link baity headline from Business Insider. But he did kind of say, you could tell from what happened, he's how he's orienting Microsoft. So number one, Number one, Office for iPad.
Yeah.
Great, brilliant. I think they should have done it a million years ago. I think they were trying too hard to protect their Surface tablets, and by not putting it there. And I think it was a stupid move on their part. So brilliant. So good for them for finally making this happen. Apparently, it's the full Office suite, or I should say, not the full Office suite, because that these days that includes Outlook and so on. No, it's Excel, PowerPoint, Word. It's free to download, and it's free to view documents. So if you want to view a Word document in a native app, or I should say a Microsoft app, you can do that. But if you want to edit anything, you have to pay $6.99 a month for a Microsoft One account. Basically, their subscription, their Office in the cloud.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of these platforms are going. The Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and those things are all turning to cloud subscription models. It makes sense that that Outlook would do that too. I just hope that it, for me, and for a lot of people who are Mac users, is this the end of the Mac? They've always made Outlook products for the Mac to be slightly underwhelming. Right?
That's an understatement. Yes.
And I mean, are they actually going to embrace the platform and treat us like I'd settle for second-class citizens.
Well, I think they will, and here's why. So Satya Nadella came from Azure, right? He was running their their cloud services platform, and so here's another telling thing. Microsoft Windows Azure is what it was called. It is no longer called Windows Azure because it was silly to call it that to begin with, because I shouldn't say that. Maybe at the start they were hosting Windows servers in the cloud, but today it's a full-on cloud hosting platform. You can go there and pretty much host anything. Linux machines, Oracle databases, Microsoft platform, everything. You can host anything there. So it's I'm glad they removed it, because even in my mind, I was thinking to myself, okay, it's a Windows server cloud platform, and it's not. So there's another reason. So this is a quote from the Business Insider article, and I think this sums it up perfectly. And so did whoever wrote this. This is a quote from John Gruber about where Microsoft is probably headed. Microsoft services sending data to and from every network device in the world. So the next ubiquity isn't running on every device, it's talking to every device. And if there's anyone, I shouldn't say, if there's, how do I want to phrase this? If anyone in the leadership at Microsoft has painted this picture at all, Satya Nadella is definitely the one who's painted it best.
Well, I mean, what was their choice? They lost to Apple. They lost to Android. What else are they going to do? They have to play in that sandbox. And, what are they going to do? Revive the Zune?
They could. There are some people who still love their Zunes.
The brown Zune.
Yes, I remember the Duty Brown Zune. All right. So good for them. I personally am not going to buy it. I have no need to spend $6.99 to edit documents, Word documents, or PowerPoint on my iPad. I use Keynote for that on my Mac. I use Google Docs for that on my iPad. Yeah.
Well, I think that is the key, that they're going for the Hail Mary just because Google Docs, and again, Google Docs started out as a wonky, bad option to Word. And as it's, people have gotten more and more used to it and, have used it free. Like my daughter, who's a sophomore in college, does everything on Google Docs.
Sure. I mean, I probably said this before, but I'll say it again for listeners. We use Google Docs almost exclusively in our company. Mm-hmm. Except for things that need, because collaboration is key, right? Our VP of marketing is based in Western Massachusetts. We're in New York, but we're not always in the office, right? Yesterday I worked from home. I work from home again today, and I'll work from home again tomorrow, just because that's the way my calendar played out. My son was homesick, blah, blah, blah. So that's the reason we do that, is for the collaboration, right? Right now, Craig and I are live in a Google Doc, editing it as we speak, taking notes, and when Craig adds something, I see it, and vice versa. So that's why we use it. But all that said, when something needs to be pixel perfect, right? Not collaborative, pixel perfect. That means design, layout, etc. It comes out of Google. It's got to come out of Google Docs, because Google Docs can't handle that.
Yep. Not at the moment.
They are getting better.
Eventually, the Glacier will get there.
Yes.
And, you're right. I mean, Word is the default for text documents, and PowerPoint is the default for presentations. But, the clock is ticking. And unfortunately, I don't think Apple has the wherewithal to compete with them. But I think Google does.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I don't think they do either. I agree with that. I love Apple. I love my Mac. I love my iPhone, etc., and so forth.
And Keynote is cool, but it's, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Rocks. Are you kidding?
No, it totally rocks. But at the end of the day, I default to PowerPoint, just because I know I can send a PowerPoint document to somebody within, a business client, and it's going to work.
See, I never think about that, because it's funny you say that. If I'm going to collaborate with someone, meaning if I have to send something that is editable.
You send a PDF. Oh, no.
No, I use a Google Doc. And of course, you have some people who are a little slow in the uptake, and they're like, what's a Google Doc? Okay, fine. But we get over that hurdle. If it's collaborative, it's Google Doc. If I have to get something to someone, that's a formal document, it goes as a PDF anyway, because I don't want them changing it.
Yeah.
If it's got to look pretty, I don't want it to display improperly on their machine. And if it's a legal document or other type of agreement or a proposal or whatever, I send it as a PDF, because no changes. It's got to stay the way I sent it. So,
yeah, like I was telling you, it's like Back to the Future for me. After being a consultant and and working with startups, where virtually every startup has a corporate Gmail account and everything works seamlessly. I'm back into a corporate Microsoft environment that doesn't play nice with Macs, and it's a huge pain in the butt.
Yes.
And
Exchange.
it's. I mean, like, didn't I deal with this 10 years ago? Is it still, honestly, is it still this bad?
Yeah. Apparently it is. Not much has changed, and that's why Microsoft is still in business. They're still collecting annuities on that stuff. So,
but and the thing is that Apple is never going to be able to defeat them on the software side, but Google will.
I agree with that. Yes, I do, and it concerns me as an Apple aficionado, but.
But the good news is that Apple plays nice with Google, so there's hope.
And they're smart. They're smart in that regard, except when it comes to maps. But that's a different story.
Well, yeah. No, it's not even a fair fight.
Not even close.
No.
All right, so we're going to wrap up with not one story, of course, but a theme.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're back to video. Over the top video, right?
Wait.
Video streaming services.
Okay.
What?
You're going to leave out the Jawbone story?
No, I'll get there. It's at the bottom. But that's a throwaway.
You said this was the last story.
Well, that's a throwaway. That's not even a story. Right. That's just a personal anecdote. So Disney this week. So apparently, video over IP is getting bigger and bigger. We all know this.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about Amazon announcing a player, and an invitation just went out for a media for a press conference that's happening next week, and it shows a couch. So it's like, okay, we get it. So at this point, we believe that Amazon is going to announce their streaming device next week, and so we should take bets. Actually, will it be free for Prime customers or not?
I think it'll be at cost.
At cost. All right. It'll probably be very cheap for Prime customers and cheap enough for if you're not a Prime customer. That's my guess. And then Apple is in talks now with Comcast for a streaming TV service, which I don't get. And when I looked at the story in the Wall Street Journal, it looks like the Wall Street Journal doesn't really get it either. All they know is somebody at Apple is talking to somebody at Comcast, and the media is trying to figure out what it is. I don't know what it could be. If it's about, priority delivery to Apple devices, well, there's a whole net neutrality thing. Not that Comcast cares about that, as we know.
You're an Apple TV user. Do you feel the need for preferential treatment for your Apple TV? You're on Fios. But
not at all.
No. I'm on Comcast, and, I don't – it doesn't – what I would like to see – is Apple TV built into my Comcast box. But, we've talked about this before on other shows, but, when my Comcast intro contract is up, there's a good chance I'll be switching back to
You are such a dirty dog.
When they offer me.
You're unbelievable.
Well, but it's like, it's just what it is. And
but the phrase, right? Ain't nobody got time for that. I don't know who has time for that. Really?
Need time for that? It's an extra $100 a month to take like 15 minutes. The time is the guy has to come over and.
That's what I'm talking about.
But it's not my time; it's his time.
You got to be there.
My wife.
You don't have to be there.
My wife is here.
All right. Well, yeah. Well.
But it's a little pain in the ass. But it's like they've been here before, like 3 or 4 times before.
I know, like, it's you again, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
It's like, okay, switch out my router. Just leave. Here's the irony though. They have to clip out all the old wires from the prior and then put in their new wires, and the other guys come in and clip out the other wires. And I'm just like, really, guys?
Why?
Come on.
So that they can guarantee that it was a clean job?
Yeah, whatever.
No, when I say clean, I mean a clean install. Like, it's like, okay, these were our wires, so we know they're good?
Yeah, or whatever. They put in new wires every time they come. From the pole in front of the house. What
a waste, actually.
Absolutely.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We only switched once. We had Comcast to start, and we switched to Fios, and so couldn't even tell you.
I really liked Fios, and I was so proud when we switched to Fios, but I can tell you Comcast is up their game, and it's just as good, if not better.
All right. I'll have to come over and see. Now that you have a smart TV, I'll have to come over and take a look at it. All right. And this is not a story. This is just something Craig I thought would find interesting, and we'll talk about it on air. So I succumbed to the Fitbit recall. I actually, in the email that was sent by the folks at Fitbit, they basically said, it's a voluntary recall, but we recommend that you do it. Was more or less the language, because they don't want to have to deal with ongoing issues. They'd rather just get these things off the market, give you your money back, and come out with the next model. So I said, okay. And then as I was trying to decide whether or not to get a Flex, which is the smaller one, and it's the one without the display, which is
what I have.
Yes, which is great. I mean, I still like it.
But I got a rash from that too, but for a different reason.
Yeah, because when you shower with it and stuff, I always took mine off. I don't go in the shower with any of that stuff. Yeah. So I started looking around, and people were just raving about the experience with the Jawbone Up. Especially the new one, the Jawbone Up 24. So the Jawbone Up is this band here. It's pretty cool. It's got like a textured finish here. It looks almost.
Does it have a clock on it though?
No display whatsoever.
Yeah.
The original one, the only way to sync it was to pull off this tab at the end here and stick it in what essentially is a microphone jack on your phone, and it would sync it that way. This one is the new one. It's the Up 24, and it uses Bluetooth, and it's constantly connected. It uses Bluetooth Low Energy, so it constantly updates my data throughout the day. So I jumped for this one because I heard that the ecosystem is great. I did some research, and that the software was great. And sure enough, I've had it a week, maybe less, and I have to agree.
And what about the battery? Do you have to recharge it? How do you recharge it?
It looks like it's USB. It's a USB charger.
Yeah.
It looks like it's about the same as the Fitbit, which I would charge once a week.
But the Fitbit, you need a separate connector. This one goes right in, right?
Oh no, it's a separate here. I'll pull it out here. This is the connector. So you take that. Very
similar to the Fitbit.
Yeah. So you still need this.
Yeah. Which is a pain in the butt.
But the software rocks, I have to tell you.
Really?
Oh, and the real reason I did it, which some people may or may not know.
Fitbit software is pretty good.
It is good, and this is even better. And the sleep tracking is so much more granular in terms. It tracks, deep sleep versus light sleep versus awake. It has the alarms as well. Anyway, so that's my quantified self thing. I just moved to the Jawbone. I like it so far. I also like the way it goes on and off. Oh God, I hate the band on the Fitbit band. I hate the Fitbit bands.
Yeah.
This is just basically a flexible thing that you just wrap around your wrist and it stays there. So it's a little snug, I guess. It's a little snugger than I'm used to. This is the medium. How much? Good question. I think it was $149, and I had an Amazon. I had an affiliate program credit, and for like $30. So, it cost me $120 versus the $130 for the Fitbit. So, it's a wash. It's about the same.
Yeah, but my wife is a Fitbit fanatic, and to get her to leave her community would be like very tough.
And they're counting on that. Yes. For me, it's not about the community.
I stopped wearing my Fitbit just because I got like a gnarly rash.
Yeah, well, try it again. Just don't shower with it. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this was a big week in digital media. So before we sign off tonight, for those people, all those people listening in their cars right now, Mr. Calder, if they wanted to reach out and say thank you, how do they reach you?
Craig at craigcalder.com. C. Calder at pretty much every social media outlet.
C. Calder. Okay. And, of course, I'm John Federico. You can find me just about everywhere as Gadget Boy. You can find me on Twitter that way, Facebook. Find me on LinkedIn, of course, as John Federico. Just Google me. You'll find me. So once again, thank you for joining us. If you're tuning in on iTunes, that's great. But keep in mind that you can also listen to us on Stitcher and SoundCloud. And you can watch the video episodes on YouTube. And you can even subscribe to the video version of the podcast and watch it on your phone or watch it on your Apple TV or your Roku or all those places. So we try to make it easy for you to spend some time with us every week. So
your Apple TV on Comcast.
Never gonna happen. All right. Anyway, so this has been another episode of On Digital Media. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.